Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Iza Arifah binti Muhammad Hairi, matrix number S71296, and today we from Group 8 will present to you about OSK Holding Berhad. OSK Holding Berhad is a financial service company. They started as a small stockbroking company in 1963 and turned into a significant financial service group with regional presence across Asia and Hong Kong. In 2015, they completed a merger and acquisition agreement to combine the operation of PJ Development Holding Berhad and OSK Property Holding into OSK Group, and today they are a conglomerate with diversified interests in 5 areas of business, which is property development and investment, financial services, construction industry, and hospitality, which operation in Malaysia and Australia. They had over 21 branches in Malaysia and 2 in Melbourne, and also have over 2,000 employees. Their vision is to be a long-term business builder that delivers superior value to all their internal and external stakeholders.
Hello, my name is Nur Amira Zulaika binti Khairul Anwar S711216, and I will be presenting on the accounting standards and policies of OSK Holdings Berhad. OSK Holdings Berhad, a conglomerate in Malaysia with diverse business interests, adheres to Malaysian Financial Reporting Standards (MFRS) in preparing its financial statements. Let's explore how OSK Holdings Berhad applies specific MFRS standards. MFRS 116 Property, Plant and Equipment. MFRS 116 Property, Plant and Equipment. Recognition and Measurement. OSK Holdings Berhad recognizes property, plant and equipment (PPE) at cost initially. This cost includes purchase price, import duties, and other costs directly attributable to bringing the asset to the location and condition necessary for its intended use. After initial recognition, PPE is carried at cost less accumulated depreciation and any accumulated impairment losses. Depreciation methods used include the straight line method, and the depreciation rates are determined based on the estimated useful lives of the assets. Revaluation model. If applicable, OSK Holdings may revalue certain classes of PPE. Revaluation is done with sufficient regularity to ensure the carrying amount does not differ materially from the fair value. MFRS 15 Revenue from contracts with customers. Revenue recognition. OSK Holdings recognizes revenue to depict the transfer of promised goods or services to customers in an amount that reflects the consideration to which the entity expects to be entitled in exchange for those goods or services. The company follows a 5-step model: identifying contracts, identifying performance obligations, determining the transaction price, allocating the transaction price to performance obligations, and recognizing revenue when or as performance obligations are satisfied. Performance obligation. Revenue is recognized when control of the goods or services is transferred to the customer, which can be at a point in time or over time, depending on the terms of the contract. MFRS 138 Intangible Assets. Recognition and Measurement. Intangible assets acquired separately are measured on initial recognition at cost. Internally generated intangible assets, excluding capitalized development costs, are not capitalized, and the expenditure is reflected in profit or loss in the period in which the expenditure is incurred. After initial recognition, intangible assets are carried at cost less any accumulated amortization and accumulated impairment losses. Amortization. Intangible assets with finite lives are amortized over their useful economic life and assessed for impairment whenever there is an indication that the intangible assets may be impaired. MFRS 141 Agriculture, Biological Assets. Recognition and Measurement. OSK Holdings measures biological assets at fair value less cost to sell from the point of initial recognition of biological assets up to the point of harvest. Gain or losses arising on initial recognition of biological assets and from changes in fair value less cost to sell are included in profit or loss for the period in which they arise. MFRS 140 Investment Property. Recognition and Measurement. Investment properties are properties held to earn rentals or for capital appreciation or both. Initially measured at cost, including transaction costs. After initial recognition, OSK Holdings can choose either the fair value model or the cost model for subsequent measurement. Fair value model. Under the fair value model, investment properties are measured at fair value, and gains or losses arising from changes in fair value are recognized in profit or loss for the period in which they arise. MFRS 137 Provisions, Contingent Liabilities and Contingent Assets. Recognition and Measurement. OSK Holdings recognizes a provision when it has a present legal or constructive obligation as a result of a past event. It is probable that an outflow of resources embodying economic benefits will be required to settle the obligations, and a reliable estimate can be made of the amount of the obligation. Provisions are reviewed at each reporting date and adjusted to reflect the current best estimate. Contingent liabilities are not recognized in the financial statements but are disclosed unless the possibility of an outflow of resources is removed. Contingent assets are not recognized in the financial statements but are disclosed when an inflow of economic benefits is probable.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Amina binti Abdul Rahman, S7115. I will present to you about OSK Berhad disclosure of non-current assets. MFRS 160. Categories and nature of non-current assets. OSK Holding Berhad categorized PPE into building, plant and equip the employee with essential soft and technical skills. These assets are initially measured at cost, the fair value at the date on which contract is obtained, including the cost of replacing part of the plant and equipment, subsequently stated at the cost less accumulated depreciation and accumulated impairment losses. MFRS 138. That's it. Intangible assets. Categories and nature of non-current assets. OSK Holding Berhad categorized intangible assets into branding, reputation, industry, know-how, market insight, research and development, recognition criteria and measurement methodologies. Intangible asset, software license, club membership and trademarks. Acquired separately are measured on initial recognition at cost, being the fair value of the consideration paid. MFRS 114. Categories and nature of non-current asset. OSK Holding Berhad categorized biological asset into unharvested oil palm fresh fruit bunches. Recognition criteria, but biological asset shall be measured on initial recognition and at the end of each reporting, and its fair value less cost to sell. MFRS 114. For investment property. Categories and nature of non-current asset. OSK Holding Berhad categorized investment property into shopping mall, office building, rental rates and commercial buildings. Recognition criteria and management methodologies. These investment properties are called capitalized initial at an acquisition cost paid, being fair value of consideration paid including related transaction costs and subsequently measured at fair value if the fair value considered reliable.
My name is Mas Julie Eliana binti Mustafa. My metric number is 71218. So let's move on for 4.0, economic environment and asset valuation. For 4.1, I'm gonna explain about key non-current asset owned by OSK Holding Company. For number 1, investment, associate and a joint venture. The investment in associate and a joint venture increased from RM 3975 to 63000 in 2022 to RM 4226355 in 2023. This indicates a notable growth in the company's strategic investment, reflecting an expansion in collaborative venture and a potential positive outlook on long-term profitability. For number 2, inventories. Inventories saw a slight growth from RM 1471510,000 in 2022 to RM 1491861,000 in 2023. This modest rise suggests a stable demand for the company's product, with inventory level being effectively managed to meet market needs without significant overstocking. The value of property, plant and equipment grew from RM 570,607,000 in 2022 to RM 619,797,000 in 2023. This increase reflects the company's ongoing investment in its operational infrastructure, which could lead to enhanced production capabilities and efficiency improvement. For number 4, investment properties. Investment properties remain relatively stable with a slight decrease from RM 489,935,000 in 2022 to RM 489,512,000 in 2023. This stability indicates that the company maintains a consistent portfolio of real estate investment, which can provide steady rental income and potential capital appreciation. And the last one is capital financing. Capital financing experienced a significant rise from RM 241,813,000 in 2022 to RM 383,800 to RM 383,866,000 in 2023. This substantial increase may indicate the company's enhanced ability to finance its operation and expansion through long-term capital, improving its liquidity and financial flexibility. And the second part, I want to explain about the influence of current economic factor. Number one is inflation. It can have impact on inventory. OSK Holding Berhad saw a slight increase in inventory from 2022 to 2023. Inflation in inventory. Inflation could affect the cost of raw material and good held in inventory, potentially leading to higher inventory carrying costs if price increase faster than sale prices. Controlling inventories will be essential to reducing the effect of inflation. Second one is impact on investment properties. Investment properties remain stable from 2022 to 2023. Inflation can influence property value and rental income. If inflation leads to higher rental rates, it could positively impact OSK Holding rental income from its investment property. Next, number two is interest rate change. OSK Holding Berhad significant increase in capital financing from 2022 to 2023 suggests a higher dependence on capital over the long term. Changes in interest will affect the cost of this financing. If interest rate rise, OSK Holdings may face increased borrowing costs, potentially impacting profitability unless this cost can be passed on to customer or decreased with wise financial management. Point number two is higher interest rate could also influence investment decision in associate joint. Higher interest rate could also influence investment decision in associate and joint venture. If borrowing costs increase, it may become more expensive to finance new joint venture or expand existing partnership. And number three is market volatility. It can affect investment in associate and joint venture. A significant increase in investment in associate and joint venture from 2022 to 2023 indicate a strategic expansion. Market volatility can affect the valuation of this investment, potentially impacting OSK Holding financial position and profitability if there are market downturn or fluctuation. Property, plant and equipment may be impacted. Market volatility can influence the demand for OSK Holdings product and services, affecting the utilization and valuation of its PPE. Economic uncertainty may lead to fluctuation in demand, impacting the efficiency and return on investment in PPE. Next one is 4.3, strategic adjustment or valuation made during the year. The first one, weekend optimization of property, plant and equipment. To address the impact of market volatility on its asset, OSK Holding Berhad needs to optimize the utilization and valuation of its PPE. This include recessing the useful life and depreciation rate of PPE, as well as adjusting capacity utilization to match market demand. This measure help maintain asset efficiency and ensure that the company's investment in PPE continue to generate return even during economic fluctuation. Point number two, weekend reduction on borrowing. OSK Holding Berhad need to strategically decrease the dependence on external borrowing in anticipation of rising interest rate. Delaying unnecessary capital expenditure and making better use of internal cash flow are part of the solution. By decreasing its debt level, the company minimizes the impact of higher borrowing costs on its financial performance. And the last one is hedging strategies. To reduce the impact of rising interest rate on its significant capital financing, OSK Holding Berhad needs to complement hedging strategies. This include using interest rate swap and other financial instruments to lock in current interest rate and reduce exposure to future rate increase. This strategic adjustment helps stabilize the company's borrowing costs and protect its profitability.
Hai, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Fahana binti Isa, matric number S71214. For my part, I will explain about analytical and engaging presentation. As you can see, I have provided information about the chosen non-current assets that have significant value in graph bar. For OSK Holding Berhad, the amount of non-current assets in 2022 have a little increasement compared to 2023. I assume this company still can benefit flow from the already existed non-current assets that make them to have any requirement to add a new non-current assets. For example, property, plant and equipment. For ratio, I will explain two from four ratio that I have provided. The first one is non-current assets to net worth. This ratio used to measure proportion of company non-current assets to its net worth. As you can see, there are decrease of amount in percentage from 2022 to 2023. What I can interpret from this information is the company have invested small amount of its net worth to its non-current assets. The second one is written on total assets. This ratio used to assess the company profitability. As you can see, the amount have increased from 4.41% in 2022 to 4.67% in 2023. Now, in 2023, for every ringgit of net asset, OSK Holding Berhad has generated 6 cents of net income.